The Bucks win Game 4 to have the NBA Finals 2-2 after a 109 to 103 point win against the Suns in Game 4 off the back of Chris Middleton dropping 40 and Giannis having a somewhat off night, but he still dropped 26, 14 rebounds. So yeah, it was really Chris Middleton though who carried the Phoenix Suns, not the Phoenix Suns, sorry, the Milwaukee Bucks, and was able to lead them to the Game 4 victory. So let's get into it. So in the first quarter, the Bucks actually started kind of slow. They had really bad shooting through. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were just shooting really bad. I think it was like 28% from the field or something. But the Suns didn't take advantage of that. The Suns didn't go up by as much as they should have. They were only up by a handful, I think like 4 or 5 points throughout the majority of the quarter. Drake Elder had a really nice defensive play to start the game. Kinda he stopped Giannis and then the ball went to the floor. He dropped onto the floor and then he did a ground pass all the way across court to I believe it was Chris Paul who picked it up and was able to convert. Then Giannis actually in the start of this quarter also he kind of took two threes, which Giannis really isn't that guy to be shooting to be pulling up from three and shooting like that. But he did take two threes. The first time it airballed, and I think it was Drew Holiday who got the rebound and or Bobby Porter. So one of them got the rebound, and they just passed it off to Giannis, who was able to convert. So that one wasn't that bad. But I think the second three was a complete turnover. I think it airballed again, and Phoenix got it. So yeah, but like I said, despite the Bucks' struggle, they kept in touching range of the Suns. As the Suns were up only by 3 points by the end of the first quarter. Now going into the second quarter, this is where Devin Booker really took control of the game and started to heat up. Then the second and third quarters. We'll talk about his third quarter performance after, but yeah, Devin Booker really started to heat up in the second quarter, and there were a lot of foul calls that was being called on Phoenix, which was and the refing in general just a really bad thing throughout this entire game. We'll get into it more when we come to the end of the game. But yeah, there were a lot of foul calls on the start of the Suns. He started this quarter. I think DeAndre Ayton got two really quickly. I think Jay Crowder got two really quickly, and I think Devin Booker got two as well really quickly. So yeah, so they got into some foul trouble, and yeah, it was just really frustrating for Phoenix because it seems like even though they would get buckets on the offensive side when they had to defense, they would just get a foul, and the Bucks would go to the line and sing some free throws more times than not. And there was another call too where DeAndre Ayton had a really close goal turn, but the refs got that one right despite the Suns lashing out and well not lashing out, but being very vocal in the and how they felt about the call. It was the right call, that goal turn. And even though Devin Booker was heating up, Chris Middleton was there to reply and they kind of went, yeah, even though Devin Booker was heating up, Chris Middleton was heating up as well and keeping pace with Devin Booker. They were kind of trading blows, and we'll discuss that more in the third quarter. But yeah, coming on to the end of the second quarter, Chris Middleton was heating up and he was keeping up with Devin Booker, who was trying to pull Phoenix away, but Chris Middleton again, they kept the Bucks within touching distance of the Suns, and that's really kind of how this game felt. Was that yeah, the Suns would pull out by a little bit, but then they would go up by like 7 or 8 or something, but then the Bucks would go on a run and really be right back up next to them, make it a 2 3 point game. So yeah, the Bucks kept touching distance with the Suns throughout the majority of the game. There were some instances where the Bucks did take control and did go up a little bit, but the Suns replied immediately and were able to get control of the lead again. But yeah, the Suns they should have been pulling away, but they just weren't able to. They just couldn't get the stops on Chris Middleton, and he was taking advantage of that. Like I said, even though Giannis had a relatively off night and Drew Holiday had a relatively off night as well, Chris Middleton kept them in it and kept trading blow for blow with Devin Booker. But yeah, the Bucks actually outscored the Suns, I believe, 32-28 in this specific quarter. But it goes into halftime tied up at 52 each. So yeah, so yeah, so the start of the third quarter, this is where Devin Booker absolutely erupts and really does start to actually take over and take control of this game. But it wasn't enough in the end, you'll see. But yeah, Devin Booker in this quarter, I believe he shot perfect from the field, 7 for 7, perfect from the field. And yeah, he just stayed hot. He had 20 points in this quarter, and if you remember, like a few games back, Giannis broke the record for most, well, not the record, but he in the 21st century had the most points in a quarter, and I believe it was 21 he had. So yeah, Devin Booker kind of matches him for that one, but he only drops 20 in this quarter. But yeah, in this quarter, Chris Paul, well, throughout the game, really, you hear me didn't really mention Chris Paul until just now, and that's because he had one of the most terrible games he's ever had in his career, really. on the biggest stage. But I don't think that's something that you'll see often from Chris Paul. It's just one of those off games. Every player has it. Devin Booker had it in the last game where he only had 10 points, and look at how brilliantly he performed in this game. But yeah, Chris Paul, again, I was supposed to mention that in the first half, but I forgot. Yeah, uncharacteristically bad game from Chris Paul all around. We'll talk about Chris Paul a bit more when we talk about the final stats of the game. But yeah, Chris Paul uncharacteristically bad throughout the first two quarters and this third quarter as well. Yeah, Cameron Johnson had a big block on Drew Holiday at a point in time. So yeah, but then after that, that's when Devin Booker goes down, hits a three, but Chris Middleton replies, like I said, with a three as well. And that's, like I said, really the story of this game. Devin Booker trying to pull the Suns away, but Chris Middleton keeps replying and keeping the Bucks right behind them. There was a point in time where the Bucks had Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis in, and Giannis wasn't in. I think he was resting. But yeah, when this happened, this is when the Suns can start to go on a little run and pull away from the Bucks. This is where Devin Booker started to heat up, and yeah, he really kind of put some distance between the Bucks and the Suns, because to end this quarter, the Bucks were up. Not the Bucks. The Suns were up by 6, and the Suns outscored them 30-24 in the quarter itself. And like I said, 20 points of those 30 came from Devin Booker. But yeah, to go into the fourth quarter now, like I said, the Suns have a 6-point lead. There was a point in the first half of the fourth quarter where they went up by as much as 9, but the Suns looked like they were for sure gonna win this game, but the Bucks just kept fighting back and they would not go away, and they were able to overcome all that. And in the end, really, it felt kind of like a smash and grab. Like the Bucks were behind for a majority of the game. The Suns felt like they had control for a lot of it, even though the score wasn't reflective of that. And that's the thing. The Bucks came when it mattered, scored when it mattered, played great defense when it mattered to close out the game, and that's exactly what happened. And the Bucks were able to close it out. Chris Middleton was the one who, well, I say the Bucks was out. It was really Chris Middleton. I believe he had like the last 10 points or something from the Bucks to close it out. But yeah, the reason this happened was because Devin Booker, well, like I said, there was some questionable refereeing throughout this entire game. Devin Booker got his 5th foul really early into the fourth quarter, I believe, and he had to sit for a majority of it, and that's when the Bucks really started to heat up, and the Suns went really cold, to be honest. When Devin Booker went out with that 5th foul, everybody kind of looked to Chris Paul to kind of carry the offense at this point and for him to take over and keep the Suns in the lead. And he kind of did do that. I think he had 2 back-to-back possessions where he scored. But besides that, nothing really. And the Bucks were able to fight and claw their way back into this game. When Devin Booker did come back into the game, I can't remember exactly when it was, but like I said, he was on his 5th foul, so he needed one more to just get fouled out. There was a play on the fast break. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but Drew Holiday was driving to the basket, and then Devin Booker literally hugged him and kind of tackled Drew, and they didn't call it as a foul. And he was like, you can't miss that. If you guys watch the game, you'd have seen the foul, you'd have seen the missed call, really. Everybody's calling it the biggest missed call potentially in the history of the NBA, and I could agree with that, especially on this grand of a stage when that's at risk, because at that point, I believe it was a 4-point Suns lead, and to finish that play, like I said, they didn't call the foul, but Giannis kept with the play, and he was able to get the rebound and follow up and put it away and make it a 2-point game. But yeah, huge missed call there from the refs, and like I said, just questionable refereeing all around. There were fouls when they shouldn't have been fouls, because I believe Devin Booker's 5th foul, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I don't think it was a foul, to be honest. And yeah, so it was just really questionable refereeing all the way around. The refs really had a bad one this game. I don't like to blame the refs for games, like, oh yeah, we lost it because of the refs. I don't want to be like, that to sound like that guy. But yeah, there were questionable calls on both sides because, like I said, the Devin Booker one was just probably the craziest one, the most outrageous one to not give. But there was some, like I said, there was some really cheap fouls in the second quarter. I believe there was a missed call where it went off PJ Tucker's foot and the refs didn't call it, and that's when the Bucks went down the other way and Booker got one of his fouls, like his 2nd or 3rd foul. So yeah, there were questionable calls all around, but yeah, just a big stinker from the refs all around. But yeah, like I said, let's not take away from Chris Middleton's incredible performance. He closed the game with, like I said, I think the last 10 points or something for the Bucks. They kept fouling him. He kept going to the free throw lines and icing it to end the game. There was this huge moment where Chris Middleton did hit a jumper, I believe, to put the Suns up by 2. Just put the Bucks up by 2, sorry. And the Suns come up the other way. Devin Booker tries to lob it up to Ayton, and Giannis does this absolute madness where he just leaps so high, he gets so high up in the air, fully extends his hand, gets the block, and that's really where the game was won for the Bucks, I believe. Because yes, even though they were up by 2 points at that, if that lob goes in, if DeAndre Ayton slams it down, it's a tied game. Who knows what happens from there? Because I can't remember how much time was left on the game when that happened, but I could tell you it wasn't a lot. It was like less than 2 minutes, less than a minute probably. So yeah, that's really where the game was won for me when Giannis came up with that huge block to really seal the deal. Because after that, the momentum was fully in the Bucks' favor. The Suns couldn't stop anything. The Bucks were scoring at will. Chris Middleton was doing his thing, and he really closed the game and tied up the series for the Bucks. Yeah, to close out the last 5.5 minutes of the quarter and of the game, the Bucks went on a 19-8 run. So yeah, that really tells you about how that ended. And also in coming out in the clutch, Chris Paul, he sold the game really, because there was a point where I think, yeah, like I said, it wasn't that far until this happened as well, because I believe right after the Giannis blocked and they scored, it was still a 4 point game, and that's when Chris Paul came up the field, did his nonsense, he slipped, turned over the ball, and the Suns were able to give up another 2 points there and another turnover. So yeah, terrible game from the Suns, Chris Paul specifically, and the Bucks able to capitalize on that through Chris Middleton and tie the series 2-2. But yeah, like I said in the game 3 recap, with Devin Booker having his poor game where he only had 10 points, I don't expect Chris Paul to come out and drop another stinker. He's a legendary player. They're going back to Phoenix now, and I expect him to have a huge game as well, a huge bounce back game as well, and they're able to tie up and even up. Well, not tie up and even up the series, but take game 5 and take control of the series again. But yeah, you never know. This Bucks team keeps fighting. They won't go away. So who knows what'll happen? But yeah, let's just talk about the final stats and wrap up really quickly. Um, like I said, Chris Middleton had 40 points. He shot it relatively well. Well, I say relatively well. 33 shots, 15 to 33, 45% efficiency, 3-8 from the three, and 7-8 from the line. I remember in the first quarter they said he had something that here they had like 11 shots or something. So yeah, he really kept up with that. Jrue Holiday only had 8 points. No, sorry, 13 points. My bad. 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Shot it terribly, 20% from the field, 0-5 from 3. So yeah, bad game from him. Giannis, he had a relatively quiet game, like game 1, 26 points, 14 rebounds. But yeah, like I said, when Giannis had the off game, this is why the great investment of Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday would come in, is the 1-2 punch that they have as the second unit. Well, not second unit, but the second and third guys. So yeah, they really, Chris Middleton especially came up big and built them out this time. What else happened? Pat Connaughton had 11 points off the bench. Bobby Portis had 3 points off the bench. PJ Tucker had 0 points, 5 fouls. Yeah. Brook Lopez had 14 points as well. So yeah, it's really Chris Middleton doing a lot of the scoring there. For the Suns, Devin Booker 42 points. He insane. Just like Giannis in game 3, I believe it was. 40 points, but just couldn't get the job done. Jae Crowder had 15 points. Another great game from him. He had a great game in game 3, where he had 6 or 7 from the 3. So yeah, another great game from Jae Crowder. Another poor game, we'd say, from Mikal Bridges after starting off hot at home. Maybe he continues that form as he goes home. You never know. He could probably have a huge bounce back game. DeAndre Ayton had a really poor game. 6 points only, but 17 rebounds. And 5 assists. That's kind of good for a center. But yeah, in terms of scoring, not really there for DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul, big stinker, 10 points, just like Devin Booker in game 3. Only 10 points. 5 of 13 from the field, 0-2 from 3. No attempts at the line. Yeah, how many turnovers did he have? He had 5. So yeah, and like I think his last 2 points were just a kind of dead at the end of the game. Nobody was really playing defense. The Bucks knew they won, so yeah, so probably 8 points really. Cameron Payne off the bench, 9 points. Cam Johnson had a good game off the bench. He had 10 points. Torrey Craig, 4 points. He's gonna bring that defense. Not really a lot of scoring, but yeah, just not enough from the Suns. Chris Middleton took over. He was able to match Devin Booker's 40. And like I said, despite Devin Booker dropping 42, just wasn't able to get the job done. But they're going back to Phoenix to play game 5. The Suns are at home. Hopefully they pull out the winning game 5. And yeah, game 5 Saturday night. See you guys there. Until then, it's a guys.